shirt.
The second right shirt is right. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose. My name is Robert. I'm here with Kelly right now. And Kelly has the second right shirt. Tell me about that shirt, first of all.
This is the 30th anniversary of Shawshank Redemption, the filming.
Get busy living or get
Get
busy
busy
dying.
dying.
What does that mean to
Yes.
you, that phrase?
Oh, get busy living. Well, if you don't move, if you don't learn, if you don't grow, well, you're probably getting close to dying.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to say one of the highlights for me of this trip was watching a movie with you and BJ last night. And after the movie let out, you know, BJ had to go hit the restroom, and you and I had a couple minutes together. And I wanted to know what it was like being in that theater around all those people and experiencing the film that way. It wasn't, of course, your first time seeing it, but in the context of, we just heard from the cast and crew, we got some real insight. We had visited the filming sites earlier in the day, and then we got to put it in terms of you and me as friends. And what was that like for you?
Well, it was, I found myself paying attention a little more based on what the cast and crew had told us. There was the upsetting part of Brooks
Yeah.
killing himself, reminded me of my brother. But that was only the real thing that I felt was that. But I mean, it still got me emotional. Just the ending. It's a little emotional.
Yeah, you know, when we're in that space and it's a collective thing, you know, it's one thing to watch the movie in our house, but to be in a crowded theater, probably about 350, 400 people, it's an old theater and beautiful.
Yes.
And you get to hear the laughter, you get to hear kind of the gasps, and sometimes in the quiet moments, you get to hear the breathing, maybe some tears. Are you affected by other people around you as you're watching, or are you lasered in?
No, I think I I hear other things. Um, yeah, mainly, the gasping and definitely the laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and speaking of the laughing, this movie actually made me look up the word obtuse. I did not. I mean, for math purposes,
Sure.
I've heard of that,
Yeah.
but when he said, "How could you be so obtuse?" I'm thinking the math purposes. I'm not getting this.
Yeah.
So I actually had to look up that word for how he meant it.
Yeah. And to understand, like you say, a math term metaphorically, and to be able to apply it to a personality type, someone who's limited, someone who's not seeing the whole thing, right? This changes how we use language. And you know, you come to a couple of the day one classes, and I've watched you do the same thing you did in the movie here, where you looked things up, where you brought forward language, and you were pushed in a different way in this writing class, right? It was tough, huh?
Yes.
And I appreciate, you know, again, you came, you gave it your best, and you know, when it's right, you'll come back. But can you talk about what maybe got unlocked, if anything, in you in that process by getting pushed beyond your comfort zone?
Yeah. Apparently I do have some sort of creativity, but for the time, um, it just seemed like it was too much. I don't want to say too much work. It came to me too slow.
Yeah.
For the time frame that I was to do the writing.
Yeah.
And so then it really didn't seem like fun. It felt more like work. And I don't know, some of the others writings, they just seemed like it flowed for them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really flowing for me. It was think of it as choppy. I mean, I got the point across, but you had to jump some rocks and some. It just didn't. It wasn't working for me,
Yeah.
and I didn't see all the things that you told me that you liked about it.
And they're still there. And by the way, it's funny. We look at other people's, whether it's their creativity or sometimes their movement, like exercise or artistic presentation. And if they have some sort of, say, talent or skill, we might go, boy, they make that look easy. It ain't always so. Like the people you're calling out, like, I mean, you really were heaping the praise on Susan, and she's the first one to tell you this was hard as heck for her.
And she did tell me that.
Yeah. So keep that in mind, because your vulnerability there is beautiful. And by the way, as you mentioned, you're taking on huge stuff. So when the time is right, we'll get back to it. But you know what's great in the meantime is you got a foot in the door in the community.
Yeah.
You got to see more of what BJ's up to. And to me, it means the world, because we need more care partners and loved ones, family members in the room to share. And even if, come in and check it out, as you grow and we all learn this language, we can build this together. And not only does it support BJ, but it supports everybody.
And it supports everybody, yes. And it probably should include caregivers so they can see a different aspect of their person with Parkinson's or whatever it may be.
Right.
But it's important to know that they're just not sick, ill, whatever, that this supports them a little bit more than just taking care of them and here are your meds and more humanly taking care of them.
There it is. It's relational as opposed to transactional, right? What do I have to do for you versus who are you as a human being? Because you're not your disease. And unfortunately, with something as all-encompassing as Parkinson's and other things can sometimes be, we can mistakenly even reduce a person to something to be taken care of. And none of us want to do that. That's not where our hearts are.
And BJ's symptoms aren't like everybody else's symptoms. I mean, he, although he doesn't work, he advocates, he drives, he still does everything. And most people say, oh, you don't even look like you have Parkinson's. So to be a caregiver at that point, I don't really have that role yet.
Yeah.
So what are the other ways that I can support him in his advocacy, in his day one, and that to me says also, here's some support I could do for him.
You do. You're here, you're present, and the love is very, very clear. Thank you for that. All right.
Thank you.
This has been the Daily Dose. We'll see you on the next one.